Let's do it.
We are here on July 16th, 2012 with Mr. Ted Dabney. Okay, so let's just start sort of a little bit of early stuff. When and where were you born?
San Francisco.
Local boy.
The
Oh, okay. And that was in the...
year of 1937. I was born 12 days before the Golden Gate Bridge, and I was in a baby buggy going across it.
Wow, good call. Okay, and where did you go to school in San Francisco? Did you grow up there? Or?
I went to school. Well, I went to a lot of schools. My first high school was San Mateo. Was Los Gatos.
Oh, okay.
And then when I moved back to San Francisco, I wasn't very good academically. So I went to a trade school, John O'Connell.
Oh.
Took trade drafting because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I had a course at Hunters Point. A friend of mine had got me into a course there where we studied analytic geometry.
Oh.
I didn't know what it meant, but I just loved the course. But so when I got into John O'Connell, I took trade drafting because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I was going to have to draw it. And then, in fact, actually, while I was at John O'Connell, I was 16 years old. I got a job with the Division of Highways, which you can't do until you're 18. But I got one, and so I was a surveyor for the bridge department, building this freeway system from the Bay Bridge up to Hospital Cove and all that area in there. And I didn't have a California driver's license, but I was in charge of the truck. It was my job to put the truck up every night.
Oh, wow. So that area would be what's today 580 or?
No, there was no 580s.
No? Oh, okay.
No. That was 8th and Bryant, Harrison Street, that area.
Oh, I know that area very well.
Yeah,
Very good tacos over there.
Well, there wasn't then.
Okay, so when did you first find yourself being interested in? That was sort of the genesis.
Well, from that school, I decided I really did want to get an education, so I went to Polytechnic. You know where Poly used to be?
No, actually.
right across the street from Keysar Stadium.
Oh, over there. Okay.
Yeah, and they're both gone now. But I went to Polytechnic and tried to get some courses there, and didn't do a real good job getting what I wanted to do. Well, it wasn't a very good school, but it was either that or go to Mission High, and I wasn't going to go to Mission.
Yeah.
I beat up too many times there. Well, I live in the Mission District. The Mission District, so those guys gave me a bad time. But at any rate, I wound up in San Mateo High.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I actually graduated from. But in order to graduate my last year, I had to cram a bunch of courses because I had no algebra.
Oh, wow.
And I had flunked social studies or whatever they call it, American problems. I don't remember what they call it, but I flunked that. I had to take that again. Anyway, I lucked out. I got a math teacher named Walker at San Mateo that just blew me apart. It's just really good. I'm not saying I got a good grade. That's not, that wasn't the point. The point was he taught us everything from calculus, integral calculus. He taught us determinants. You know what a determinant is? No. I do. And he taught us Boolean algebra. That was before computers, He was an amazing guy. Our final test was one question: prove the binomial theorem by mathematical induction.
Wow,
that was our test.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so when I got out of high school, I was a surveyor. That was the only thing I knew. So I got a job as a surveyor with McCandless New Jet in Menlo Park, and Palo Alto someplace. I don't remember where they are now. But anyway, yeah, it was Menlo Park. And became a surveyor. And, you know, within 3 weeks, I was assistant chief of party, which was pretty good. Well, I had a lot of experience with the state, you know, even though it was just a summer job. But I was good. And but then the winters came. Guess what? There's no work. That blew me away. All of a sudden, no work.
Wow.
So when I'm getting laid off, that's when I decided to join the Marine Corps.
Oh, okay. And how long were you in the Marines?
3 years, 3 months, and 24 days.
Pretty accurate on that.
That one I know.
And what did they have you working in?
No, I told them, when I joined the Marine Corps, I said, I don't care what it is, I want a Class A school. Any of them. I don't care whether it's aircraft maintenance repair, I don't care whether it's electronics, I don't care. You know, whatever it is, I want a Class A school. He said, fine. So I went to boot camp, San Diego, wound up getting in trouble, and the DI gave me a bad time and said I wasn't going to get to school. And I wound up in an artillery outfit, 10th Marines in Camp Pendleton. But then we were out on a exercise, and all these guys were talking about being able to sign up for electronics course. Okay, that sounds, you know. Anyway, so when we got back, I went over to talk to him. He said, okay, you can sign up for the course, but you got to extend your enlistment for a year. I had a 3-year enlistment. I had extended to 4 years. I said, fine. I got to school. Went up to Treasure Island, 16 weeks. That was good. And then wound up down in San Diego, MCRD, for another electronics course. And that was put on by Collins, you know, pretty sharp dudes.
Yeah.
And I kept asking them questions like, here they show a schematic. And I said, how do you know that's a 100K resistor? How do you know that? How come that was a 2K resistor? You know, that kind of stuff. I started asking these kind of questions. These guys love these questions. They explained to me why, and I didn't understand anything they were saying. But I learned a lot of jargon, you know, like time domain reflectometry, and, you know, it was a radio relay thing. So there was this, I forgot the terms now, but anyway, it was a multiplexed audio system. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, I got out early because I signed up for the San Francisco State. And so they accepted me, which meant I got to get out early, but I knew I couldn't go because I couldn't afford it and I wasn't smart enough. So anyway, I wound up with a job at Bank of America, and the way I got in there was I had all this jargon. They really thought this meant something. And it did, except I didn't know what.
This would have been about 58, 59?
That was 59, yeah.
59, okay. Yeah.
59 is when I got out, yeah.
And Bank of America at that point was already really on the cutting edge of technology. They were
Oh,
using,
yeah, it was ERMA.
Yeah, ERMA.
Yeah, in fact, the prototype from ERMA was built by Stanford Research Institute, SRI, and they had built a traveler's check scanner as a prototype. And so Bank of America actually was using that, the traveler's check scanner, and my job was to keep it running.
Oh, wow.
So I got to interface with Don Gazzano down there at SRI, you know, back and forth on the phone about how, you know, how do I reset this klystron, you know, because it used klystron tubes and this kind of thing, and had the magnetic numbers and all like that, and that was the beginning of ERMA. That was where, you know, from that they said, okay, yeah, we can do it. And I had nothing to do with ERMA. You know, I was over in Berkeley someplace, but that was quite an experience.
Wow.
I left there after a year because Bank of America was not, it didn't understand technology in where I was. I mean, they put a guy in charge that just didn't know anything, you know? I mean, he's supposed to be in charge of this research group, and he just didn't know anything. So that really kind of upset me, and that was why I left. In the meantime, a guy I'd worked with had left and gone to work for Hewlett-Packard. Wow. I said, oh, that's a good idea. So I called up John Herbert, the guy, and said what to do. In the meantime, he had gone to work for Ampex. And so he told me about Hewlett-Packard and what to do and go down there. And so I went down there and aced the test. I mean, it was a hands-on test. But the only reason I did that is I'd taken the test at Lenkirk first and failed it. But they were doing exactly the same thing, RC oscillator. So I got the job with Hewlett-Packard. And I was there about 6 weeks. John Herbert, the guy gone to Ampex, called me over. He says, I want you to come interview with my boss at Ampex. I said, I just got this job. I just got a raise. I got a promotion. I went from assembly into test, and I got a raise, and you know, that kind of stuff. And within the 6 week period, you know, so I was doing good. And he says, well, come on over and talk to Kurt anyway, Kurt Wallace. I said, okay, so I did. So he was asking me a bunch of questions about this, that, and the other. The only one I remember, he asked me to draw a phase inverter, a vacuum tube phase inverter. And I put a 100K resistor in the plate and a 10K resistor in the cathode. And he asked me if I knew Ohm's law. A phase inverter both be the same as what they are. You got to, you know, non-inverted on one side and inverted on the plate. And he asked me if I knew Ohm's law, and I said, well, I thought I did. They offered me the job. Oh, wow. Engineer. Wow. I mean, engineer. It was about $580 a month, which was twice what I was making at Hewlett-Packard, which was good money. Yeah. And I figured it's going to take at least 3 months to find out I ain't no engineer. I figured in the meantime, 3 months of engineering experience cannot hurt. You know?
Yeah. Now you were there. That was 1960 at this point. 61.
Yeah. No. I was at Bank of America for a year, so I had to be 61.
Okay. Yeah. And so what they have you working on when you got to Ampex?
I was working a Fanastron.
Ooh.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay. See, they were developing. I was working in the military products group. I wasn't working, you know, in all the video stuff and that kind of thing. But they were developing a system for DoD that would show film images on a CRT, okay? But they wanted to be able to change the size. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what the Fanastron did. Oh. Fanastron, it's all vacuum tubes. I mean, it's all vacuum tubes. And so I built this really neat, and while I'm here working at the bench, I'm working really hard just trying to figure all this out. I'm reading the Navy book and all this kind of stuff. This old guy walking over said, what are you doing? I mean, I look at the guy, he got a gray suit on, all this kind of stuff. I said, I don't know if I can tell you about it, it's all military. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, and he went away. Some guy says, what was Alex doing here? Alex? I don't know. Alexander M. Ponyatov. That's where Ampex came from.
Wow.
And I ran him off.
Wow. Well, at least you knew you were doing what you were supposed to. Yeah. Now,
so,
you were in the DoD section then, so there was the other section too. There wasn't a lot of crossover there, or?
No, I was in the DoD section. It was Ampex Military Products.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and we were doing a job for DoD.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Okay, and And that expanded a lot. About that time, the U-2 started flying, and they had this 70 millimeter film that they wanted to be able to transmit from one place to another. You know, otherwise you had to put it on a plane and ship it.
Yeah.
Well, we had a way of reading film with an electron beam. And so what we'd do is we'd take the film, we'd run a scintillator on it. You know, the scintillator is a material that when you hit it with an electron, it puts out a piece of light, you know, puts out a photon. And then we illuminize it, put it in a vacuum chamber and sputter it, and that would take the charge off, you know. So we could scan film. We could run this thing through the machine, you know, put it in a vacuum thing and run it through the machine and make an electronic signal out of this film, and that's what they wanted. And then GE had the other part to take the signal and turn it back into the film. But so we worked with Schenectady quite a bit on that one. One of the things that we did is we recorded the whole radio spectrum on one piece of tape. We could play the tape and tune it in anyway. It was really neat.
Oh, yeah.
So I was there about 6 years, and Kurt Wall, the Ampex started another whole division called VideoFile.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kurt Wallace, my boss, was asked to go down there and take care of it, you know, because he's a really good engineer. And he asked me to go with him. So I said, fine, I'll go. Sure.
And that was VideoFile? That was...
Ampex VideoFile. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that was the disc recording system.
Yeah, huge disc.
Yeah.
Big rhodium disc. Yeah, huge thing, yeah.
Yeah, that ended up being influential, but not super successful, if I remember correctly.
Well, it would have been successful, except that the cost of big scale computers at that time, or which this had to be, you know,
yeah.
were outrageously expensive. And then by the time, you know, just the Vidicon camera that I had responsibility for was a $3,000 Vidicon, you know, and the monitors. I was also in charge of all the monitors, had to evaluate them and redesign them and do all that kind of stuff. Also designed all the power supplies and, you know, that kind of thing. And it was just really expensive. And what happens is anytime you get on the leading edge of something like this, because Canadian Royal Mounted Police, they bought a system and they were very happy with it. Southern Pacific bought a system, they were very happy with it. Los Angeles Sheriff bought it, they didn't like it. And so they wouldn't pay for it.
Oh.
And I think that's what actually killed it. But it was very expensive, very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wow, so you're still at Ampex at this point.
Yes.
And this is 67, 68-ish?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so what was your next step?
Just designing. I was designing exactly the same thing I did at Ampex Military Products.
Oh.
Only instead of using vacuum tubes, I was using transistors.
Isn't that always the case? You just get up to same design, only
Well,
different technology.
I designed all the video amplifiers and gamma correctors and all that kind of thing for Ampex Military Products, because you had to be able to change the brightness to darkness contrast, which is gamma, the gamma of the picture, and then also we had to enhance it. And there's I'm trying to remember the term. There's a special way of doubling the rise time without changing the bandwidth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's aperture correction. That's what it's called, aperture correction. And so I did all that with vacuum tubes. Now I got to do it all with transistors. I went from a rack, a double big PC board.
Yeah. Now, so while you were at Ampex, what sort of team were you working with? Were there any, significant figures who would go on at that point?
Well, I worked for Kurt Wallace. Well, actually, I worked for Ed DiBenedetti. He was hired in later from Granger, and he was a real hotshot engineer. I mean, extremely good engineer. And so I wound up working for him. And he taught me a lot because I'm really wimpy. I'm just not very assertive. And which is why it took 40 years to find out who I was. But I kept making, Ed would say okay, give you an example. On this Vidicon, this $3,000 Vidicon, I had to design the circuit that controlled the filament of this thing, okay? Because that's like any other vacuum tube that has a filament. But being the price of the filament, or the Vidicon, you had to control the current, you had to control the voltage, you have to make sure it doesn't go over voltage, you got to make sure it doesn't go over current. And I also invented a circuit that would predict the life of the thing. Kurt wound up giving that patent to somebody else, but that upset me, but I figured, hey, what the hell. So I designed this circuit. It was a great circuit. The only problem is you couldn't turn it on. Well, because it's going to be wrong. It's going to be over, under. It's going to, something's going to be wrong, so it's going to shut itself off. So I had to go and do a lobotomy to the circuit so we could get it to work. But that's the kind of thing Ed he just got on me, and he started laying into me, and finally I had enough. And I went back at him. He says, now you learned.
Wow. Okay, so now, was it around this point that you met Nolan?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Nolan got hired in. I met Nolan originally because Kurt Wallace had brought him over and introduced him to me, and basically had told me that he wanted me to sell Ampex to him. Okay, apparently, I guess Kurt really liked him, but my job, because he knew how much I liked Ampex, so my job was to sell Ampex to this guy so he'd come to work for us. So I guess it worked because he did, and he wound up in my office. So that's how we got to know each other.
Oh, excellent. And what was he working on? It's always been sort of a gray area.
He always had stuff on his desk. That's all I know. I don't know what he did. Never even asked him. I was worried about doing my work. I wasn't worried about anybody else's work. But I have no idea what he did. I think he studied stuff. I just don't know.
Oh, okay.
And but we worked close. We wound up being close friends. He was a game player, chess player. He liked chess, and so he got me to play chess with him. But he had also started learning this game of Go, and but he needed somebody to play with, so he decided I ought to learn the game of Go so we could play together, which we did, and we played pretty good. And it was that complicated game. You ever heard of that game?
Oh, I've played. I'm not very good.
Oh, okay. If you've ever moved one of those stones around, you know what I'm talking about.
I always get caught in the eyes problem.
Yeah, it's eyes, no eyes. I was playing the Japanese guys up in Japantown, and we were playing the game, and all he could say in English was, no eyes, no eyes. Looking at me, no eyes, no eyes. Oh, you're right. I'm not going to do. He had me beat. So, tremendously beat. But anyway, no one had this brilliant idea. He's a Carney guy, That was his background, was Carney. And he thought a pizza parlor, a carnival-type pizza parlor would be a great thing to do. And so I said, hell, what the hell? We'll look. We started looking around. So one of these things, you have these ideas, and no way you could ever make it happen. I mean, you can barely afford the pizza, much less a pizza place. So, but anyway, we go around. We looked at these places, all these places. Well, he came in to me one time, and he says, "Hey, Dabney, I want you to go see something with me." I said, "What?" He said, "Oh, they got this thing over at Stanford Artificial Intelligence Center, that's just this outrageous thing." I said, "Okay, well, we'll go." So they got this rocket ship thing playing on this massive computer. I mean, they had a megabyte of core memory, the magnetic core memory. You know what that is? Oh, yeah. So I don't know if you know how much that costs.
Oh, yeah. $1 a bit was pretty much a solid.
Yeah. So anyway, we're looking at this, so he decides we could get a PDP-8 or the Nova computer, and we could timeshare this and put coin slots on all these things and make lots of money. I said, "Oh, okay." Yeah, I'll go along with anything. It doesn't matter. I'll go along with pizza parlor. I'll go along with it. So we got together. We got a programmer, Larry Bryant, and we all went together and just set up this company called Syzygy. And that was Larry Bryant. Larry Bryant had submitted that. And so we looked it up in the dictionary, and sure enough, that's a good name. So we used that, and that was our partnership. But in order to do anything, we all agreed that we got to put in $100. And I'll open a bank account, and we'll have it there. And so I opened the account with $100, and then Nolan gave me $100, and I put that in. But Larry never gave us $100. Well, in the meantime, Larry couldn't get time on a computer. He couldn't write any code. And we did a cost analysis on this thing and says, no way. There's not enough quarters. So that kind of died. And that was the end of it. That was the end of that whole project. We went back to pizza parlors and stuff and things.
Now, were you aware of the Galaxy game at that point?
Yeah, but the Galaxy game was had a computer. It had a PDP something.
PDP-11.
Yeah, okay. It had that, and it was a single player, and it cost a dime. I mean, you never pay for the thing.
True. Yeah, because we actually have that up and working at the museum. So.
Yeah, I think Google has it now, don't they?
We lent it to them, and they gave it back recently.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So no, that was a great thing, but there's no way you can make any money with it.
True.
And that's not the idea. Technical excellence is fine. No, we wanted something. Our idea was to make something you can make money with. Mm-hmm. But since there's no way we could make money with it, we decided we weren't going to do that. Anyway, like I say, we went back to pizza parlors. Okay. And so Nolan comes by to me one day and he says, when you adjust the vertical hold on a TV set, the picture moves back and forth like that. I said, yeah. He says, why is that? So I explained to him why. And he says, could we do that? Could we do something like that? I said, yeah, but we'd have to do it digitally because you can't do it analog. You never have any control. And then I forgot about phase lock loops. We could have done it with a phase lock loop, but I knew we could do it with digital. So he said, why don't you work on that? So I did, and that's kicked my daughter out of her bedroom and set it up there and got all this stuff working. And sure enough, it was working fine. No one kept coming over all the time. He was always over at my house looking at what I was doing and finally got this thing working. He said, that's it, let's do it. And boom, he was off and gone. And the next thing I know, he got a contract or an agreement with Nutting Associates to actually build the game. So he quit his job with Ampex and went to work for Nutting and to invent this game. And that's basically what he did. And then I come around in the evening. I wasn't going to give him up my 10-year job with Ampex just from this stupid thing. You know? But I'd come over in the evenings and help him out. And then we decided on the partnership. And what about Larry Bryan? And I said, he never put in his $100. So he was out. You know, if he had to put in his $100, he would have been, you know, he would have been in the partnership, but he didn't, so he wasn't. And not that he ever did anything anyway, you know, but that was irrelevant. Neither one of us had done anything either until I designed this motion circuit. Mm-hmm. And so Nolan went to work for Nutting and build this game. And so I helped him out, you know, designing the matrix for the diodes. We couldn't afford ROMs, you know. I mean, ROMs were expensive. They were real expensive. So I had a friend that had 2 boxes of diodes. I bought them for $10 each or something like that. And well, we had all these diodes. And I said, we can make anything we want out of diodes. So if you've seen a computer space inside, yeah, you see the picture of the diodes, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We have a strange one actually in the exhibit. We'll take you that there.
Yeah, okay.
So that was the origin of computer space.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was.
I finally quit my job and came over full time because all of a sudden it looked like we were going to have something, you know, and Nutting was willing to pay my salary. You know, and I didn't really do much on that. My job was now to build a cabinet so we could put it in, because we didn't have any cabinets. All he had were the cabinets for his computer quiz, which wouldn't work. It wouldn't work also. I had to build a cabinet. And, I didn't tell you, when we started playing Go, mm-hmm. we had this little Mickey Mouse board that we set on a waste paper basket, but it would bump it and it'd all fall apart, you know. So one time I happened to be going by a store that made doors, and they had all these cutouts for the windows and the doors. So I bought a bunch of these things, $6 a piece or something like that, and I carved a Go board in one of them, brought it in, and that was really neat because that was really heavy, you know. And but we had to figure out where to put it. We had no place to put it. So I made another one, a Go board. On the other side, I put the VideoFile logo on it. Oh. Okay? And that way, when we hung it on the wall, all you see is a VideoFile logo.
Subterfuge.
Yeah. So anyway, that I just had to throw that in. Oh, yeah. But where did I throw it in from? I don't remember.
So you're at Nutting now.
Oh yes, I'm at Nutting now, and I'm designing the cabinet and all like that and everything. So that I guess that's kind of the beginning of it. From there on, it was. No one got a hold of Bally to try to do something with them, because we decided this was a good thing to do, is design games for other people. And so he called Nutting, called Bally. In fact, I guess he went back there to see him. And they said as long as we were with Nutting, they had nothing to do with us, because they couldn't. I mean, obviously you can't, have one game company working with the other game company. And at that time, we were still both on salary with Nutting. So we said, well, let's cut it. And in the meantime, this is the fun part. Bill Nutting was not the brightest guy in the world. He had a salesman named Dave Ralston that had kept that company alive with an archaic old game, computer quiz.
Mm-hmm.
He had kept, just selling just enough to keep the company alive, just be working his butt off trying to, When computer space came along, you didn't have to work. I mean, you just pick up the phone and, how many you want. I mean, that's basically it. And so Bill Nutting saw how much money he was making. He fired him.
Wow.
You believe? I mean, a salesman should be the most highest paid person in your company. I mean, that's how you know you're doing good. If how much money your salesman's making. If he's making more than you are, fine. It's okay. But no, he fired him. And but Bill Nutting Ralston had built up a bunch of pinball machines, pool tables, stuff like that, around in the valley, and but now he wanted to get rid of it, so Nolan and I bought it from him, and so when we quit nutting and started our own company, Syzygy, the only money that Nolan and I had, since we didn't have our paycheck anymore, was the money we were getting from these machines. So we would go around, make the collection, split up the money, that kind of thing. It was really kind of neat. And so the first thing that Nolan did, he hired Cynthia Villanueva to come in and handle the phones and be a receptionist and that kind of thing. And then we got a hold of, he got a hold of Bally again. Now that we were on our own, we were able to get a contract. And the contract said a video game and a pinball machine. Mm-hmm. So we had the contract, and so my job was to design the pinball machine. That was an important part of the contract. And Nolan hired Al Alcorn to design the, or to build the video game. But Nolan wanted a driving game. I think he had told Bally he was going to give him a driving game. I don't know that for sure, but I think that's what it was, because I know he wanted a driving game. He was adamant about wanting a driving game. So anyway, when he brought Al in, he put Al to work on just using the circuitry that I had designed to create a game, just to get it to working. Well, we had seen the Odyssey game, and it made sense. A ping-pong game, pretty simple, it would do that. And so Al, about 3 weeks, he had it all done, and it was, banging back and forth. Didn't have any sound, though. Mm-hmm. It was terrible without sound. But anyway, so we're in there, we're playing this thing, and this is fun. This is a lot of fun. Boom, 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 that kind of stuff. And so then Al added sound to it, and that made it really great. And he had segmented the paddle. So if you hit it, the bottom of the paddle, it would go down. You hit it with the top of the paddle, it would go up. And you hit it in the middle, it would go across. So you had, that. Al was clever. He was a clever engineer.
Okay.
And but no, I don't care what you say, he was not a founder of Atari.
Yes.
And that's what he says he was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I really got on him about that. So now he knows I hate him. It's not true. I mean, it's just that I just really gave him a bad time about calling himself. And he thought it was okay. But he wasn't. He was hired help. He was hired on $1,000 a month.
Yeah, because he was employee number 3 after you and...
No, he was employee number 2.
Number 2, okay.
Cynthia was number 1.
Oh, okay.
He was number 2. And Nolan and I still didn't work for the company.
Oh, okay.
We were living off the money we got from that, because the money, the money we were getting from royalties was just enough to pay the rent and pay Cynthia, pay utilities, and so that would, all we had was, what we got from the slot machines. Not slot machines, I'm sorry, pinball machines.
And now you were located over in Santa Clara at this point?
Yeah,
or?
on Scott Boulevard.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I remember that building.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, Marty and Kurt and I went over there the other day to take some pictures of it.
Oh, wow.
Well, for the book they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, where I was, I lose. When you get 75 years old, it all falls apart.
So I think the last thing we were talking about was
I was working on the pinball machine.
Pinballs,
yeah. And Al was Al had designed this thing and had it working, and he put some sound in it, which was really neat. Beep beep beep, that kind of stuff. And we were playing that in Nolan's office, and bang bang. Oh, we were just having the greatest time in the world. And but Nolan said, no, we want a driving game. Got to have a driving game. This was just an exercise, I said, no, this is fun. Al said, this is fun. So we badgered him and badgered him and badgered him. Well, what are we going to call it? Well, ping pong. No, can't call it. Ping. You can't call it ping. That's golf cups. You can't call it that. So we decided, well, we'll just call it Pong. We found out later in England that it means poop. But we called it Pong. And so we built up some prototypes, and we built 12 prototypes, and we sent one off to Bally, put one in the shop, and then Nolan and I put, in our places where we had pinball machines and pool tables and stuff like that. We put them out, round table pizzas and handicaps and Dutch goose and that kind of thing. Place that we had, and boy, all of a sudden, Nolan and I were raking in the money because that's what we were still living on that. And all of a sudden, we were there was so much money we had to start banking it. We just there's no way we could so we started banking it. And in fact, the failure mode. Oh no! I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. The first one we put out was in handicaps. Mm-hmm. It was a small one that Al had built up. I built him a little cabinet for it, and he built it up. Then we set it on a barrel, and we hung a coin mechanism from a laundry machine, on it. And so when I worked on the interface for that and came up with the coin box and all this kind of stuff. So we put that in handicaps. And this was before we built those prototypes. I got ahead of myself. And the failure mode, it failed almost right away. Oh my God, Al goes down there to find out what's going on. The coin box got so full of coins and jammed the coin mechanism.
It's a good problem to have.
That's a problem to have, yeah. So that was incredible. And we kept trying to get Bally to go along with this thing, and Bally kept saying, kept not giving us a direct answer. So that's when we decided we're going to build up 12 of them by ourselves. And we got them all working, everything, shipped one of them off to Bally, put the other ones in the thing, and that's when Nolan and I were making the money. I mean, God, we were making the money. That was incredible. Because we were still living off of just what we got from the machines, but now all of a sudden the machines were, gargantuan. So that was incredible. That really was incredible. So, but we still didn't get any response back from Bally. No response. And so Nolan and I and Al are all sitting around Nolan's office trying to figure out what to do. We can't sell it to anybody else. That's not an option because Bally had paid us $24,000 for this thing. You know, that wasn't even an option. So we couldn't sell it to somebody else. Bally wasn't going to take it. We couldn't afford to build it ourselves, design it, you know, go into our own manufacturing. So we're sitting around trying to figure out what to do. And I said, look, we got to either go in, we have to manufacture it ourselves or go home. And I don't want to go home. Al says, you know what it's going to cost? You can't afford it. You got ICs, you got these, you got PC boards, you got, you know, TV sets, you got cabinets, you got all this kind of stuff. And Nolan was right in there too. We can't afford this. You know, no way we could afford this. I said, wait a minute. We're not talking about that. We're talking about what's our decision. Are we going to go home or are we going to manufacture it ourselves? Well, nobody wanted to go home. So I left. We got to manufacture it ourselves. I said, okay, we've made that decision. Now we'll figure out what it takes to do it. And I said, I'll take care of the TV sets and the cabinets. And Al takes care of the ICs and PC boards. And Nolan takes care of everything else. And that's the way I split it up. And so I found a distributor in San Francisco for Hitachi TV sets. And so I bought 50 of them. And I used my own money because the company didn't have the money. And I called P.S. Hurlbut, who was the guy that manufactured the cabinets for Nutting Associates. And I had given him a drawing. Remember these 12 that we built before? Yeah. I'd give him a drawing of the cabinet we wanted. And he gave me a price, so it was a little higher than somebody else, so I went with somebody else. Could save a few bucks, you know. Yeah. But he had the drawing. So I called Frank over at P.S. Hurlbut, and I said, you know that drawing I gave you? He said, oh, yeah. I said, I need 50 of those cabinets, but I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to pay you. He said it'd be ready in 2 weeks. No, he said you can pick them up in 2 weeks. I said, we don't have a truck. He said, I'll deliver. I mean, it's incredible how things work out for you. Mm-hmm. And so I had the cabinets and the TV sets. And the TV sets were not easy. Now we got to take them apart and make monitors out of them. That was my job. And in the meantime, Hal's over there, you know, buying all the ICs that he needs. We get all the Kramer and Marshall. I start buying ICs, and we find out that National Semiconductor's counters don't work very well. They run much too hot. But they won't sell us gates unless we buy their counters. We went to AMD. They had a beautiful counter, but they didn't make gates. So we'd buy all the counters from National Semiconductor, and we'd throw them away and use the ones we bought from AMD. I mean, that's all they were good for. They just ran too hot, you know. And so, you know, we're sitting there building these things. I got the cabinets in. We're building. Al Alcorn's got the PC boards built, and he's hooking them up, and I'm modifying the monitors, and I'm putting these things in place and everything. And I think we even had Cynthia out there helping us. You know, it was a lot. You know, 50 cabinets, a lot of work. And Nolan's standing up there looking, you know, so like watching all this stuff going on. I went up to him. I said, "What the hell are you doing?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You got to go in and sell these things." Oh man, his face went white. All of a sudden, he realized the whole thing was on him. So he went into his office. He came back about an hour and a half later or something like that. He had the dumbest look on his face. I'd never seen that before. And I said, "Well, how'd it go?" He said, I made 3 phone calls and sold 300 units sight unseen. Oh my God.
Yeah.
150 to one guy, 50 to another guy, 100 to another guy.
Wow.
So he said, we're going to need more money. I said, well, how much more do you need? He said, well, you're going to need at least $3,000. And so I said, okay, I'll give Gary Teasdale, the banker, Wells Fargo in Cupertino, I'll give him a call and see what we can do. He said, fine, come on in. Make sure, well, you got to bring your partner with you. So, okay, fine. So in the meantime, Nolan had the brilliant idea. He got Bob Portal, the guy that ordered 150, got him to give him a purchase order. That's something that's never done in that industry. Nobody, it's all word of mouth. I mean, you know, but he got him to give him a purchase order so that Nolan could show this to the banker and show him, you know, how really great and wonderful we are. On the way over to the bank, Nolan says, well, let me do the talking. I'm showing how great and wonderful we are. He didn't say that, I did. But I said, look, Nolan, they got no upside on this. All they got is downside. They're going to want to know what, you know, what the problems are, you know, what the downside is, what, you know, what's the negative end of this thing. They want to make sure that we understand that. Oh no, I'll handle it. You know, let me do the talk. So I let him do the talking. Needless to say, Gary Teasdale did not want to give us the money. I went back after, you know, this is after a couple of days. I called Gary, and so I went hot-footing it back over to the bank and had a long talk with him, and got the money.
Excellent. Okay. So now at this point, Atari is still just the 3 of you? Well, 4 of you, technically.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually.
Wow.
Yeah, because we really had no money to hire him. Well, we had hired Al Alcorn, you know, we were paying him $1,000 a month, but we still had, you know, other expenses for all this kind of stuff. So no, we didn't have anybody else working there. But as soon as we started building these games, as soon as we started getting these orders, we knew we were going to have to ramp up and build a lot more. So I got on the phone and told them I needed, you know, meantime we had paid for the cabinet, so I got on the phone and ordered 50 more cabinets. And so they show up. We got no place to put them. It just so happened the guy next door to us had left in the middle of the night, well, without paying his rent. I got a saber saw out and cut a hole. And moved in, opened the back door, let him put in the cabinets. The landlord came, or the manager, or whoever he was, came around and said, you can't do that, you know, because he had people waiting for this stuff, you know. And, but he didn't know it was going to be vacant because he didn't know this guy was going to be running off. So he said, you can't do this. Nolan said, we did it. You just had to tell us how much we owe you.
I could picture him saying that.
That's exactly the way it went. So that worked out pretty good. So we had that, but you know, 50 cabinets is about what it takes to fill up 1,700 square feet, you know, and we had to build a lot more, so we knew we needed more room. But in the meantime, we shipped the 50. I put them in the back of a rent truck, you know, one of these U-Haul things, and was driving them to L.A. And I got one of these truck stops. They got to pull in and stop. And so they said, "We could park it over there." Okay, what do I got to do? And so I waited. What the hell's going on here? So I went over. I said, "What the hell's going on?" I mean, I'm sitting there waiting. Oh, it turns out your truck's illegal. What do you mean my truck's illegal? It's an out-of-state truck going interstate commerce. That's illegal. I said, I don't know anything about it. I rent the damn truck up in Mountain View. You know, I'm down here. Well, you can't have interstate commerce. I said, it's not interstate commerce. We're staying in the same state. He said, it doesn't matter. I said, these are my things. This is my stuff. I can move it anywhere I want. What do you mean it's your stuff? I said, I own the damn company. Oh, okay, go on.
Wow. Oh, excellent. Okay, so now Pong at this point has just started to pop up, and it explodes right around 72?
I don't know. Look, I don't keep track of time. I don't keep track of anything. I'm technical. That's all I am. I'm very good at what I do. My job is to, if somebody wants something done, I figure out what it takes to do it. And that's basically all I do. I don't watch calendars. I don't, you know.
So what was it like when the froth started, when people started to catch on to Pong? What was it like within the company at that point?
I really don't know. I was so busy because in the meantime we moved from there over to the roller rink. We had 10,000 square feet over there, and we're moving all this stuff. And I'm busy. I'm hiring people. You know, I'm picking up hitchhikers and hiring them. You know, I mean I swear to God, that's the truth. And we're hiring people just to build these things. You know, and over in the roller rink they got people on roller skates running around building these things.
Now, this is the roller rink behind the Lawrence Drive-In?
I don't know, Lawrence Drive-In. It was over on, what's the name of the street? Martin Avenue.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that is the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah, that's now a pizza parlor or something, I think, or?
No, it's not a pizza parlor. It's some other kind of thing. I don't. It's some organization. I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
We were there. We're looking in the windows and all that kind of stuff. I could see where my office was. But I spent all my time working on this stuff. I mean, I didn't pay much attention to anything. I didn't know whether they were making money. I had no idea whether they were making money. I know I'm building units and shipping units. You know, I just delivered the first ones. I didn't deliver any more. I mean, 'cause that was miserable. I ran into a fog bank, and that Thule fog out in the valley, and my gas gauge is going lower and lower and lower, and I'm on this highway, and man, I'll tell you, it's just you talk about scared to death, because when you run out of gas, everybody's going to crash right into you, kill themselves. They're not going to hurt me because they're going to hit the back of the truck, but. Scares me. I can't get off the road. You can't see off the road, I tried that once. Scared the hell out of me, but I was able to get back on. And I'm driving along just, going really slow because my gas gauge is getting really low real quick. All of a sudden, all the fog lifts. Here's a gas station. I go in to fill it up. I don't know. But,
right, so
I wasn't going to do that again.
Yeah, probably best.
But by that time we could afford to ship them. We find, call it Consolidated a call or one of these guys and let them, So.
Now, what was the next project that shipped after Pong?
I don't know. I wasn't around.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hadn't realized you left.
I know what it was. It was Space Race.
Oh, okay.
It was a game that I had told Al about. And I said, you ought to do that. And because I knew it was simple. It was easy. You could whip it together really easy. You just driving a rocket ship up between a star field that's moving. And so he did that one. And that was the next game. But by that time, we needed more square feet. Because even 10,000 square feet was just not near enough. So Nolan and I decided to go out and look for another building. In fact, he had found a building, a Cadre building on Los Gatos, Winchester Boulevard. And So he wanted me to go out and take a look at it with him. Sure. And we looked at the building and said, boy, that's a really good building. We do that, we get this one. And Nolan said something. He says, I don't really know if we can justify moving out this far. Los Gatos instead of Sunnyvale, that kind of thing. I said, Nolan, we don't have to justify this to anybody. We own the company. From then on, all the way back to the roller rink, he was dead quiet. Dead quiet. Nolan's never done this. He's always got something to say. Dead quiet all the way back. We pull into the parking lot, and the parking lot's full of cars. I mean, it's just jam-packed full of cars. And Nolan says, all these people depend on us, don't they? I said, yeah. I said, and their landlords and the grocery stores and everything, yeah, they all depend on us. He said, what's it going to be like to be really, really rich? I said, I hate to tell you this, Nolan, but it's not going to be any different. The only thing that's going to change is the number of zeros, because your relationship with money is always the same. And that we had a little incident about that later on, but that was the point when Nolan changed completely. All of a sudden, he realized he was going to be really, really rich, and that was the end of our relationship. That was the end of anything other than him. It was just him. Everything was him. It's just, and from then on, I basically had nothing to do. In fact, one of the times I was sitting over there, and he had hired some guy as a general manager or something like that, and he came over to me and asked me to write a job description. Wait a minute. I mean, that's the way I was being treated, and it wasn't worth it. No, I don't want to say that, but anyway, Nolan was not being the kind of person that I enjoyed being around anymore. And he bought that Folgers mansion, and, that kind of stuff, and went up there. One time I went up there, we were having a good time, actually. We went up to the top floor. He had a snooker table up there, and so we played a game of snooker, and I beat him. So we come back down, Nancy says, how'd the game go? Who won? Nolan says, I don't remember. I mean, that's, so anyway, I don't know, there's stories that came around after that, but that was the end of me with Atari, It was just, well, actually, Nolan had told me that if I didn't sell out, he would transfer all the assets to another corporation and leave me with nothing anyway. So, might as well sell out.
And
well, he had hired these guys, John Wakefield and Pat Carnes and some guy named Lloyd or something. But he had hired these people. Pat Carnes was a great guy. He was a good salesman. But he was hired as director of marketing or vice president of marketing. He didn't know how to spell marketing, much less what it meant. He was a salesman. Salesmen don't know what marketing is. And generally, salesmen and marketing people don't get along real well, Marketing always wants to do this, and the salesman says, I just want to sell product. But anyway, he hired this guy Wakefield as president of the company. I guess he was related to his first wife or something, but anyway, the only thing he could do, and I spent time talking to the guy, but the only thing he could do was decorate his office. I swear to God, that's all he could do. I mean, he was looking at this, we want to get that door moved over. You're going to move the door 4 inches? You know how much that costs to move a door 4 inches? Oh, no, that's all right. We're going to do that. You know. Oh, I mean, this is a guy. And the guy that he hired as vice president of engineering, and it wasn't Al Alcorn. It was a guy with a master's degree that came from Ampex. I had worked with the guy. I knew what he was like. I knew he could not make a decision. I have been around him when he was not making a decision. You know, I knew he couldn't make a decision. So anyway, Atari was going down. They were going down at a rapid rate with that kind of management. It just goes, you know, because Nolan doesn't know how to manage. He was smart to hire a new president, but not this guy. But see, Nolan had a thing. If a guy's rich, he's got to be good. This guy was an industrial psychologist and made lots of money as an industrial psychologist. So obviously, he must be really good. That was Nolan's problem. But he had a thing about money, and it just. But anyway, so I left. But I tried to stay friends with him. You know, I tried because I enjoyed him. But now that I wasn't a threat to him, we could be okay. You know, it was all right. We were over at his house one time. He had gone to France, and I had introduced him to a wine called Gamay Beaujolais. And he really liked that. That was good. He was over in France, and they have a thing called Beaujolais Villages. And so he was trying to whiffle a really good deal with this, you know, because he had a wine cellar at this house. He wanted to fill it up. Well, Nolan did his own inimitable thing. Rather than check things out and figure out what's going on, he wound up with this really good deal on a little older vintage. Really good deal. I mean, he could have bought this one with this newer vintage, but no, he got this older vintage for a really good deal. The thing he didn't know is Beaujolais doesn't hold up. It goes bad. I mean, it not only doesn't stay good, it goes bad. So anyway, was over at his house, we were trying to drink up all this wine. We're getting swacked out of our brains. And my daughter and her friend had come over with her. They were swimming, and we were sitting there just drinking like crazy. And Nolan says, "Dabney, you know what I really hate about you?" I said, "What?" He said, "Dabney, you know what I really hate about you?" I mean, this is absolutely the way it went. I said, "No, what?" "Dabney, what I really, really hate about you, you remember when you told me that the only thing that was going to change the number of zeros?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You know what I really hate about you? You had no right to know that."
Now, even after you left Atari, you actually did some work with...
Yeah, well, he finally, you know, we got the money from Warner Communications, and he decided to do that Pizza Time Theater thing. And so he'd asked me if I wanted to go in with him. And he told me, and this is honest, he said, "I'll probably wind up doing to you what I, you know, here is what I did to you at Atari, you know, in other words, you know, it works out good." I said, no, I'd rather be your friend than your partner. So he said, "Okay, well, at least go take a look at my pizza parlor and tell me what you think." So I did, and it was crappy. It was dirty. It was noisy. The pizza wasn't very good. And this was a brand new place. So I came back and I told him it was dirty. He said, "I'll take care of that. I'll fix that." I said, "Also, it was so damn noisy, I couldn't tell him my pizza is ready. And the pizza's not very good." He says, "Oh, mediocre pizza is good enough." I said, "No, it's not." I said, I bet my dad was accountant for hotels and things like that, so he knew I learned about food business, the really risky stuff. And I said, anything less than mediocre is unacceptable. You're on the edge of unacceptable. Oh no, we're okay, it's okay, it's okay. He said, but as far as noise, we gotta have noise. Gotta have noise because that's what the place is all about. So it's up to me to come up with a way to tell people when the pizzas are ready. So I invented a thing that did that. And I told Nolan, I said, look, I'm gonna build these things at home in my garage, and I'm gonna charge you an arm and a leg. I'm gonna overcharge you for these because I really want you to build them yourself or get somebody else to build them. But as long as I'm gonna build them, I'm gonna overcharge you. Okay, no problem. So I did, I built them, I overcharged them. I was making tons of money off these things. It's incredible. And all of a sudden, somebody decided at pizza time they were going to build them themselves. They didn't even tell me about it. They just decided to build it themselves. I had an order, they canceled the order. I mean, that kind of stuff. I mean, that kind of stupid stuff, because if they'd have told me they wanted to build it themselves, I would have given them all my parts. I'd have given them everything they wanted. I'd give them the schematics and all this kind of stuff. But even help them build it if they wanted me to, because I didn't want to build them. The cabinets were the problem. Electronics wasn't the problem, it was the cabinets. So anyway, it was, that kind of stuff really. Terrible way to run a railroad.
Now, where'd you go next? What was your next stop?
Oh, Nolan started a thing called Catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed some help with that. I said, okay, not as a partner, but as just paid employee. I'm going in. So my job was to take care of facilities and all that kind of stuff and things, and did pretty good. One time, I had a neat office. I had all the copy machines in my office. And there's a company, Androbot. They built this robot thing. Mm-hmm. Neat little thing. I mean, moved around. Really, really neat. So they were over making a copy of the PC board in my area, and I guess they left one there or something. I looked at it. It won't work. I don't care what you say, it won't work. I guarantee you it won't work. It'll work for a while, obviously, but it won't work in production. It won't work outside the door. They had a little transistor, this little little 3-footed thing. I looked at the base lead. The base lead goes all the way across the board. All the way across the board. You can't do that. You just can't do it. I don't care who you are. You can't do it. You could put a 200 ohm resistor series with it right at the base. That'd be fine. But they just had this trace going all the way across the board. And it doesn't matter what the transistor is doing. If you've got the base up there, it's got a beta of more than 1. It's going to give you trouble. So I told Nolan, I said, it's not going to work, I guarantee you. I said, they were all going to fail. Oh, no. I said, let me talk to these guys. Let me just at least go over them. Let me tell them what's wrong with it. Oh, no. Guess what? They all failed.
Yeah, that happens. Okay.
So that was my thing with it, and robot, or with Catalyst. Mm-hmm. It was. And then I went to work. I decided I wanted to learn more about integrated circuits. So I figured the best way to do that was go to work for a company that made integrated circuits. And the best way to do that is to go to work for a company that makes integrated circuits as an applications engineer. you can learn a whole lot about. So I finally got the job. It took a bit. I put in applications, even had an interview and all this kind of stuff, but they didn't hire me. So no, I didn't have the interview. That was the whole thing. But I was on the airplane one time. I was flying somewhere, Seattle. I was coming back from Seattle, and there was a guy there that I knew was from Raytheon. So I went over to him. I says, "Hey, I applied for this job at Raytheon and never got a call." So he got back, and sure enough, I got a call. Well, it turned out the guy didn't want to hire me. He didn't want to hire somebody that was smarter than he was. That's what, well, that's all right. And I could tell by the interview that was what the problem was. But I told him, I said, no, my job is to make you look good. I'm already good. I'm good enough. I mean, that's not, if I get the job, that's fine. But my job is to make you look good. And I'm good at that. So he hired me. But he got fired. And the guy that fired him says, "What are we going to do?" You know, I don't know. I don't want to work for you. Well, what are we going to do? I said, well, you got to hire somebody in between us, you know, that I can work with. But in the meantime, Raytheon was divesting itself. Raytheon Semiconductor was divesting itself of its hybrid unit. It had a really nice hybrid unit. So I went to the president of Raytheon Semiconductor and told him I wanted to buy it and gave him a proposal. Well, he thought the proposal was pretty good. Well, when he got back to Massachusetts, they kicked his ass for even talking to anybody. He got big trouble. So when he got back, I got fired.
We were at Raytheon.
Oh, Raytheon. At Raytheon. I got a job at Raytheon. Turns out that's quite a job. It was a very interesting job. I did learn about ICs. I learned a lot about ICs. I found out a lot of their data books were wrong. I wound up rewriting part of their data book and started traveling all over the world. That was kind of neat. And then, but like I said, oh yeah, I got fired. That's where I left it. And then I decided I want to learn about scanning electron microscopes. All right, that seemed a good idea. So I got a job with a company that, no, my brother had called me. He had been working for this company, and he'd been offered a job at IBM. And he didn't want to leave him without a tech. So he called me and asked me if I'd come in and take the job. I said, sure. Well, I wouldn't do anything, might as well come in and take the job. I mean, he didn't make, you know, the kind of money I was used to, but I didn't care. I was, you know, I was doing all right. So I took the job, started learning all about scanning electron microscopes, started learning about how bad some engineers are. This guy had designed an AGC for the video. What they did is they had a scanning electron microscope that displayed it on a CRT, which is pretty tricky. It was a good trick. The problem is the AGC the guy designed was a time positional servo. Time positional servo says, well, if it goes up above a certain point, you put it down. If it goes below a certain point, you put it up. You know, that kind of thing. That's time positional servo. So guess what? On the screen, you get the thing going dark. You know? I said, that's no good. You can't do that. That's terrible. Oh, no, that circuit's right out of the book. And it's in. I said, it's the wrong kind of circuit. So I designed him a circuit that did work. I mean, it was not great. You see, a scanning electron microscope, I don't know if you know anything about it, but what it works is it's noise. But some of the noise is coherent. So you can't really filter the noise because you'll lose everything if you do. So what you have to do is you have to amplify it first. And it's a very, very small signal. So I designed, it wasn't really an AGC, but it was a gain circuit. It was a variable gain circuit. Because on an scanning electron microscope, sometimes the signal comes out loud and sometimes it's not too loud. And what you got to do is get it up to something you can work with. And that's what this circuit did. It got it up to, maybe a volt, volt and a half or something like that, or maybe sometimes it was only 3/4 of a volt. So it wasn't always the same, but it was always enough to work with. And then you could process the video, because by the time you go through the circuit, a lot of the coherence, where it's coherent, becomes more exaggerated. And now you can treat it like a regular video. So that worked. That was good. That was really good. And then there was another engineer over there, and he said, "Look at this CRT display." He was an engineer. He was designing something, and the thing looked like a waterfall. Just a little waterfall. I said, your emitter follower is oscillating. He thought it was so funny, because emitter followers can't oscillate. Everybody knows they can't. You got to have gain. You got to have phase inversion. You got to have feedback. Emitter follower has none of that. I said, wrong. I said, that's an emitter follower oscillating, I guarantee it. He would not believe me, and I said, all you do is you put a 2K resistor in series with a base, it'll be fine. Oh, no. I said, I'll do it. I'll put the resistor in. I put the resistor in. Perfect. It was perfect. So then I wrote up this whole thing about why emitter followers oscillate. He didn't accept that too well, but it's just the way it was. And but it turns out that there's the delay between the base and the base current and the collector current. Well, when you delay current, that's inductive. Okay, so you get an inductor and a capacitor, and boom, guess what? Anyway, so fix that. But they had a neat. They had a table that held the thing, and then they put tennis balls in the thing and set the thing on the tennis balls as a shock absorber. It was perfect, absolutely perfect. So they have tennis balls. So I went to them and I said, I'd like to buy some of your tennis balls. Well, why should I sell them to you? I said, I'm a valued employee, that's why. Well, you can pay the same thing you pay at the store. I said, bullshit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean, but that's what I said. There's some controller from, what's the name of the company? This was a subsidiary of, was it American Optical? Something like that. It was something like that. But he was a controller for American Optical. I don't think that's the name of the company, but it's something like that. And I said, forget it. So I went and told him I'm quitting. Oh, you can't quit. What do you mean you're going to quit? Good tennis ball? I get you all the tennis balls you want. I said, no. I said, I made the guy a legitimate offer. He treated me like crap. I said, I'm not going to stay around. So they couldn't believe that I would quit because of tennis balls, but I did. And they said, well, we'll double your salary. That doesn't mean anything to me. So I quit. So I ended up working for Meadows Games or something like that. It was a startup video game company. That was kind of fun, but that didn't last too long because they went broke. But then I went to work for Teledyne, Well, in the meantime, I worked for Fujitsu too. Fujitsu was good. These Japanese companies are weird. I mean, the American part of a Japanese company is weird. At least with this one, it had nothing to do with the quality of the work. It had to do with what they could sell to the Japanese. So what they did, they wanted a new organization table. So they had this great, beautiful organization table. And somehow my job, applications, came under engineering. Because I thought I was an applications engineer, so obviously it's got to be. I said, no, it's a marketing job. It's got to come under marketing. Oh, well, we don't have a marketing manager. I said, well, it's still got to be under marketing. So they put it under marketing, but didn't have a marketing manager. So I know who I worked for. So I go to people. I go to their boss, the boss that would be the boss of the marketing manager, and say, I need some work to do. And before that, when they first hired me, they hired me to do PowerCon 8. I don't know if you're familiar with PowerCon, but it's the seminar, or one of these conventions, a power convention, and. They had a thing called a ring emitter transistor. And ring emitter transistor is kind of neat. It's very fast. It's faster with some of these SCRs. And it was really fast. So I designed one, a little buck converter, and took it to the show and presented it to the show. And the guy next to me, in the booth next to me, was from one of the companies that made these power, what are they? SCRs? I don't know. It's but anyway, God, I've forgotten all this stuff. That's the trouble. But anyway, he had one of these really high-speed circuit thing running 100 megahertz converter. I said, I got bipolar over here running at 200 megahertz. He said, I think it would be an interesting show. So anyway, that worked out good. But finally, they fired the marketing guy, and I had nobody to work for, and nobody else would take any responsibility for anything that I had to do. So I didn't do anything. I just worked on my own business, with the stuff I was building for Nolan, and. So in the meantime, Nolan asked me to design a video game for him that was just Pizza Time Theater. I sell it just Pizza Time. Okay. So I did. I got a hold of a book called Isaac Asimov Presents Computer Quiz. Super Quiz. Isaac Asimov presents Super Quiz. So I got a hold of his agent, got permission to use his name, and I built a game called Isaac Asimov presents Super Quiz.
I've been wanting to get one of those for the museum just because I actually knew Isaac a little bit before it passed.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
and
yeah.
So, I actually knew his agent too.
Yeah. So I invented that game, and that was just for Pizza Time. And I had sold them a lot of games and everything. And so I was sitting around Fujitsu. I was taking care of my own business. That's all I was doing. And that doesn't sit well with me. I don't like taking somebody else's money and not earning it, but I had nothing else to do. I was building these node logs, a number call-out system for Pizza Time. I was building these video games for them. I was building the video games after I left Fujitsu, because I started up my own company. I got one of these guys, Tom Smith, that I had met at Meadows Games, and he and I together built this company, and we call it Syzygy Game Company. And so we built up these games, and we were selling them. And I needed a cross compiler. So the only ones I know, there was some company up in Seattle that made cross compilers. So I called this guy up, and it was Microsoft, and it was Bill Gates. They answered the phone.
Wow.
So I ordered a cross compiler for him.
From the man himself.
Yeah, well, I mean, he wasn't. This is when Kilgall was still the big guy, you know, the CPM guy. I mean,
Yeah. That's your research, yeah.
No.
No.
Wasn't it his name, Kilgall?
Yeah, Gary Kildall.
Yeah. But it just so happens he was out sailing the day IBM showed up. He couldn't be bothered, so he got a hold of this guy up in Seattle.
So let's see, you've left Fujitsu,
Yep.
and then you went to Teledyne?
No. Then I started building these games. I built this Syzygy Game Company with Tom Smith, and we were building these Isaac Asimov Presents Super Quiz to Pizza Time.
Okay.
And that was going real great. You know, I was selling lots of games, and that was my first time in actually running my own company, which I really didn't enjoy at all. I'd much rather do the work. But I bought a computer. I wanted a disk, a hard drive. I bought this hard drive, 8-inch Shugart hard drive for $3,000. But that was nice. That was worth having. But all of a sudden, Pizza Time went belly up, and they wound up owing me $40,000. I owed other people $40,000. So I just folded everything I owed them into Pizza Time's bankruptcy. I didn't know I could do that, but my lawyer told me I could do that. So I did, and that's when I went to work for Teledyne. Teledyne was good. I liked that. Here again, I had to rewrite their data book because there were so many mistakes in it, just unreal. And so that worked out pretty good. And they had some management people in there that were marginal. And that didn't bother me. I mean, you know, Teledyne was a good company. Until these marginal people bought the company.
And you were there for a pretty good long time, if I
Yeah.
about 10 years?
Yeah, no, couldn't have been 10 years. Couldn't possibly have been 10 years, no. Maybe 4 or 5.
4 or 5,
something like
okay.
that, yeah. But at any rate, they bought the company. And here again, they had a salesman as a marketing manager. He didn't know anything about marketing. He just didn't know anything about marketing. I remember one time I was telling him we were doing something, I guess, whatever the hell it was. And I said, well, you know, you need to do a marketing thing on this. You know, and if you can't do that, then you guys ought to go pump gas. You know, I mean, that's what this company is all about. Well, I finally had to quit. I just, you know, it was just a bunch of bozos around the company. I don't know how to run a company. I can't run a company, but I can tell if it's being run right. I work for Hewlett-Packard. David Packard would deliver the coffee. He'd come around the assembly line and bring us coffee. I mean, you know, David Packard knew that the only thing that counted was the product. As long as the product was good, you just take care of the people that make your product good. That's all it takes. And the profit will take care of itself. You know, I mean, that's the way David Packard was. He was just boy. That reminds me of a story. Nolan hired this guy, Les Oliver, from Hewlett Packard. He was a controller. And Nolan was telling me, because I had taken over the coin op part of the business, or the street operations, we called it. And Nolan wanted me to take that, so I did. So I happened to be over at Atari talking to them about this, and I met this guy, Les Oliver. Well, now I realize I owed them $90,000 for that. I didn't know I owed them $90,000 for that. But anyway, I got to know this guy, Les Oliver, and he was a yahoo. I mean, real yahoo. I am not that bad on management people. I really am not. I really appreciate good management people. But when they're not good, I know it. I can tell. There's something I can tell about companies. So I went to Nolan and I said, "Where'd you get?" I did this. I said, "Where'd you get this guy?" "Oh, that's Les Oliver. He came from Hewlett Packard. Sales went from 25 million to 27 billion. You know." I said, "Well, I think David Packard being Undersecretary of Defense probably had more to do with it." So anyway, that was one of those real weird things. But like I say, Nolan was just the kind of guy. If the guy was rich, he was good. You know, that was all it took. So anyway, so Teledyne was all right. So I finally had enough with Teledyne. Went off. Wife and I decided to. I mean, I had bought a nice house in Saratoga up on top of a mountain. I could see Candlestick Park from my front yard.
Wow.
You know, I mean, I watch the fireworks all over the county when the 4th of July comes. You know, I get to see just about everything. I remember when I went out one day, I still have a problem with this. I went out, looked out my front window. I saw Mount Diablo right in my front yard, it looked like. I mean, it just, the sky was just so clear. I'd never seen it like that. It was kind of like it was magnifying everything, but it looked like Mount Diablo was in my front yard. It was incredible. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, that was that. So, hey, I can go on. I would tell you my life story, you know.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, where'd you go after Teledyne?
My wife and I went to the Sierras.
Oh, okay.
We sold the Saratoga house, went to the Sierras, and bought a grocery store.
Wow, that's a big change.
Well, my wife did all the work. Well, we went up there. We wanted to just buy some property.
Mm-hmm.
Then we found this 20 acres. It was really neat, and I bought the 20 acres. And then, anyway, so we tried to camp out there, and that didn't work out too well, so we bought a trailer down in Galt, a mobile home, and had it hauled up and set up. We used that. That worked out pretty good. But then we thought, well, we really love it up here. Let's see if we can find a place that's got a house. This had an old house that was really beat up. In fact, we tried to stay in the house. We were colder in the house than we were outside, you know, that kind of thing. So we found 40 acres north of Crescent Mills, and a pretty nice house on it, a gambrel type, you know, with these shaped like a barn. Really nice house. We bought that. And in the meantime, the grocery store come up for sale. Said, well, when we sell the Saratoga house, we'll buy that store. We did. And my wife was running it. Oh man, she worked so hard on that. I mean, you know, it's just a lot of work, even a little bitty grocery store. The store was doing about $60,000 a year when we bought the store. So, you know, not too bad. But she kept building it up, building it up, building it up. And she says, you know what we need? We need a deli. So guess what? I got to build a deli. So we built a really neat deli. And she just, oh man, when we finally sold that store, she was doing $300,000 a year.
Wow.
I mean, it was good. But then my daughter and her husband wanted that 20 acres, that first 20 acres that we got. So I worked it out with them. And when we sold the store, we had enough money, and I helped them build the house. And you know, they basically front them the money to build the house and helped them build it and did all the electrical and, you know, stuff like that. But he got weird. We decided it was time to move away from the area. So that's when we found a house up in northern Washington. Moved up there. And then we were up there 5 years. That was 6 years ago. So.
Okay. So do a couple of just wrap up more general questions. Looking back at your entire career, what period do you think really defined your view of what technology is?
That's easy. I was in that high school where I had Walker as my teacher. Yeah, that math, well, the algebra course is what it was, but that changed my whole life. That whole thing. You know, I had that course I'd taken in analytic geometry was really kind of the start of it. But then we got into differential calculus, and we got into determinants, and we got into, you know, binomial theorem with mathematical induction and stuff like that. I mean, it just blew me away. I wasn't good at it. That wasn't the point. The point is I was interested in it. I was fascinated by it. And that was what changed my life right there, the most important thing. So when they talk about school teachers, the right school teacher can make a big difference in your life.
Wow. That's a good place to end, actually. Right.